This is Kelly.
And this is Amy.
And you're listening to Diary of a Death Investigator. We've been on break for a little bit because we recorded multiple cases at one time.
And we're together in person recording.
For
the first time ever.
Well, not like in person. So we've been in person recording, but in two separate rooms.
We've never recorded like this, though.
So now we're recording side by side using one microphone. So we'll see how it goes.
This is going to be interesting. So.
Sorry, Joel.
Yeah, I'm going to try real hard not to talk over Kelly. And so good luck.
But while we've been together, we came across something interesting called Crime Cruise.
With CrimeCon.
So we're considering going. Actually, we're pretty sure we're going to book.
Yes.
Maybe on the next episode or a couple episodes from now. We'll be recruiting other people to come and join us.
Well, that won't be until November, right?
Yeah, it's like the first week of November or something. And it's out of Miami. They go to Jamaica, Haiti. We're just looking for like-minded people to hang out with.
And maybe to get more people to listen to our podcast. So
we'll be the girls wearing all the merch.
Yeah, the cute merch, and maybe passing out our stuff too. On Diary of Death Investigator stuff.
But speaking of our podcast.
Yeah.
So for the last 4 weeks, you guys have been catching up on the alphabet of a medical examiner or medical.
Well, really just investigations in general, maybe death investigations. Crime in general, all the above. Me just, spitting some facts.
But hopefully it's helped. I thought it was really interesting. We always go back and listen to them once they've gone public. So I listen to them a lot. But
Kelly's going to be an expert here within a year. She could probably start teaching this herself. So
I like the back end stuff, though. I like the whodunit, finding out that kind of stuff. I'm like the sneaky person in the corner watching it all. Observing.
See, I'd rather you do that stuff because I don't like doing the follow-ups. I did enough of that. It's a lot of work.
Well, this episode that we have for you this time is out of my wheelhouse. Not so out of my wheelhouse.
I feel like you could probably do a follow-up on this one later too, because I don't know what happened with this person after the fact. So this might be one that we'll come back to later on another one of our, Where Are They Now?
We're calling it If Cats Could Talk.
Kelly's really familiar with cats, if you didn't know.
I am a cat lady with a dog. So 3 cats and a dog.
The pampered pets is Kelly's house.
We were in the process of trying to get Einstein to win America's Favorite Pet this year. He was close. He made it to his last round in his group and he had to be number 1 and he didn't make it. But he's a local celebrity in our little hometown. He's Mr. June in the animal shelter calendar.
I am not so crazy with cats, but teach their own. But the cat plays a major part in this case. And so you will see why. It kind of made the investigators come to a big realization. So it's kind of funny, actually, because, cats are nosy. So
cats are so nosy.
Kind of like someone else I know.
Like me. I probably was a cat in my past life. Makes sense.
It does. So anyways, this case was a little bit later on in my career. And this is one of those ones where you're just kind of like, this is so bizarre. And the story changed at least 4 times while I was on scene. And then even after I left, it kept changing. So like I said, we might have to do some follow-up on this one to see really where she is now.
Was this the case that you referenced in the last ABCs of Death Investigation?
No.
Oh, we haven't talked about this
I don't think so.
It wasn't the X-ray one?
No.
Oh.
No, we're saving that one, though. Don't worry, we'll get to that one soon enough. This lady calls 911 and she says that her husband had tried to attack her and in self-defense that she had to shoot him. So he's dead in their home or unresponsive, doesn't say dead necessarily. So obviously calls in for law enforcement to come into the scene. And when law enforcement gets there, he's pronounced dead on scene. So of course, that's when I get called, and then I get there, and law enforcement is waiting outside at this point, and the wife is outside, and there's a couple children. They're older children, though. They're like teenage years. So let me just kind of give you a runaround of what is this property when I'm rolling up to the scene. So it's still early morning. It's kind of like sunrise, and it's a trailer, and it's out. It's a bigger trailer too. And it's out in the country, and it's surrounded by like dried brush, and there's a pond behind the house, and there's some trees a little bit further back, but all the brush was like dried or dead. And there's like smoke coming up behind the trailer. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And then
it's not weird. I'm guessing now what happened. She probably tried to light the thing on fire.
Well, I'm like assessing the situation and walking around the backside. So I'm like, so do we need to call the fire department to put this out? And they're like, oh no, they've already been here and left. I'm like, so why is there still smoke? They're just like, oh, the house isn't on fire. It was the field behind the house. And it's like, okay. So I'm kind of taking, my pictures. I always start with pictures from outside, and I'm thinking this is pertinent to the case. So I'm like, I should probably take pictures of this fire scene back here, because who knows what's going on.
Burning evidence. That's what's going on.
Well, I start kind of taking pictures around the house, and then it's just like this big field in the back. It looks like yellow kind of hay, dried hay.
Yeah.
And so I take pictures of it, and it's kind of weird because it's like spotted areas that had just kind of spread out. And it's, like directly behind the house. And I'm like, why would someone, because it's obvious that it's like arson, right? Like someone had tried to set fire to this area purposely.
Because of the different spots everywhere?
Yeah. And it's like really close to the trailer though. I'm like, this is weird. So I'm like, well, I'll come back to this later, because like the main goal is to look at this guy first. And so I know that, yes, there is a pond behind the house, but that wasn't necessarily important at the time. I don't talk to the wife though, because the sheriffs are like, yeah, she's being kind of hysterical. And they're like, by the way, she keeps changing her story. And I'm like, great. That's awesome. So I said, before you tell me anything, let me go in and just take pictures, because usually, I think I've talked about this before, if you go in to a case or into a scene and you already have this idea in your mind of what it should be or what it should look like, it's already skewing your idea of what it is. I think I talked about that on that one.
Yeah, you did. And how you listen once and it.
Yeah. So it's trust your gut, I think was the case. So I walked in and I go into their bedroom, and they have a bathroom in their bedroom that's attached. And then they have this big bed, and the husband or the decedent is laying prone or chest face down in the doorway between the bedroom and the bathroom. And then he's kind of in a weird position because the bed in the bedroom is like really close to his feet. So I kind of look at like some blood trails that kind of are falling around the bed. I was like, huh. So there's blood streaked on like this side of the bed, like on the opposite side. And I'm like, this doesn't really match kind of to where he's like laying at. And since he's laying face down, I decide to examine his backside first. And it was very evident he was shot in the back. So what that's telling me is that
he wasn't facing her.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be him like chasing towards her or trying to, like, it wouldn't be her doing it in defense. So he would be trying to like get away from her. And it was multiple shots.
Oh.
So it wouldn't be like one shot and with him coming towards her. So that was weird. It was like in his lower mid right side back and then upper left side, like towards the heart. And I was like, that's really weird. Like, and it was close range as well. So you could see like the soot or the powder from the gun had sprayed on his shirt. He had a white shirt on.
But how close is close then?
So you can have, like I've talked before, like you can have hard contact where it's like directly touching, like the gun is touching the skin. Close contact is going to be like within a couple inches to like a couple of feet. But if you're within a couple of feet, that's where you can still see the soot pattern.
So she had to have been within a couple feet of him.
Yeah. So,
well, why shoot him there? If you're going to shoot him and you're going to kill him, why wouldn't you just shot him like in the back of the head or something?
She was trying to think that it would probably prove like a self-defense thing. So I relayed this information to them and I'm like, yeah, this doesn't really make sense though with kind of where this blood is at, like in the room and where he was shot at. And then like, especially in the back, like I don't get why she would shoot him in the back. And they're like, yeah, that doesn't really make sense to us either. And
so they acknowledged that it was.
Yeah, because she keeps changing her story. So her story didn't make sense to them. So I'm like, okay, well, do you guys even have the gun? Like, where's the gun at? And they're like, we don't know. And I'm like, great. Okay. So
I know.
yeah. So I'm like, give me the story that has been most consistent with you guys. So I sit on the couch and I'm like sitting there writing it out and it's like a whole paragraph. So the story that she has given them is that her husband is very abusive and has been abusive towards the children and her. So like domestic violence, right? And so she thought that he was going to be gone that night prior, right? So this happened during the night. And she told the kids, okay, we're going to pack our stuff and we're going to leave. So like, we're going to do this in a hurry. In which there were bags, there was luggage by the front door. But I mean, she could have done that after she shot him just to like try to make up a story, right?
Or she was planning on running.
Yeah, like shoot and run kind of thing. So yeah, she says like we were going to pack our stuff and we were going to go. So then he comes home early and catches them trying to leave. And then she panics and she tells one of the kids to go out and start a fire in the field to distract him.
You tell kids not to play with fire.
Yeah.
But I guess they're older kids.
Yeah, teenage kid. So tells one of them to go out and start a fire, hoping that would distract him so they could like pack their stuff in the car and leave during this time, thinking that he would be more preoccupied with trying to put out the fire instead of stopping them. So,
which wouldn't be a bad idea. Like,
I don't know. I think the whole thing is stupid. But then again, you know my feelings on this, but that's besides the point. So obviously this does not distract him because according to her, he's just enraged or whatever. And she says that he comes after her then with a gun and then they are struggling over the gun.
Is she a big woman?
Yes. And then she says, while we're struggling with the gun, that's when I shoot him. And I'm like, no, because you don't get shot in the back when you're struggling over a gun. And you could tell that it was a larger caliber gun because of the size of the holes. So I'm like, yeah, there's no way this is what happened. So
what does that mean? Like larger caliber gun? Like what would it be?
Like
then?
a 45.
Is it pistol?
Yeah, you can still have a handgun that's a 45.
I think I have that. I use that a lot in Fortnite. I think it's the 45.
Well, I'm glad that Fortnite has taught us something here.
I know what an AR is.
Okay, well, it's higher powered, but yeah, its rifle's not going to work in this situation.
Okay, so it would have been like a pistol.
Yes, it could have been like a pistol.
Like the blue or purple ones in Fortnite.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
Yeah, it's going to be higher power, a lot of kick. So that's her story. And so I told him, I was like, he was shot in the back. There's no way that they were struggling over the gun. So I was like, you might want to run that story back a little bit. And so they talked to her again and she's like, oh, well, we're fighting over it. And they're like, so where's your gun at? Like, where did you get the gun? Did you have your own gun? And well, then she said that she had her own gun. And so again, her story changes like 3 times. I'm like, oh my gosh, I keep writing this stuff down. And I'm like, I'm going to stop writing this stuff down until you guys get a written statement from her when you arrest her at this point. And so then they noticed like the cat walking in and out of the room in the house. And they're like, like trying to keep the cat like out of like the room. And I'm like, this is weird. So I'm like following the cat in there and stuff. And I'm like looking up like.
Is the cat looking at?
Well, yeah, the cat is like basically like showing you where to go, right? So
it's like, I'll tell you the truth.
Well, because the cat like hops up on like the shelving. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like looking up on the shelving. I was like, there's a camera up here. Yeah, there's a camera. So
why would they like in their house?
Yeah, they have cameras inside their house.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who have cameras outside their house, I guess.
But like inside the bedroom, right?
Oh.
Pointed at the door. So they saw that and they're like, oh, bingo. So like this will show us everything, right? So they ask her, hey, where does this camera go to? Like, where is it recorded to? And she's like, well, to this computer. At first she tries to say, well, I don't know. And they're like, nice try. And she's like, well, my husband did all this. And he's like, well, we have a digital person. Why don't you just show us? And so the guy pulls it up and he's like, oh, it was unplugged at this time. And they're like, huh, okay.
So unplugged before she shot him?
Well, it was unplugged and then it has a backup thing that switches on and she didn't know that. So they're like, give us some time. We're going to look at this video. And so they undid it and they put it in their own computer. And so I'm like waiting their own scene. I'm still waiting. So they pull up the camera footage to this and you see the cat walk in, because it flips on when you see something pass by.
Oh.
So you see the cat walk in. And
can I guess what kind of cat it is? Is it an orange cat?
No.
Oh.
It was like a big fluffy.
Aww.
Yeah. So the cat knows everything. I swear it was just trying to tell us what was going on. So the cat walks in and then in the camera you see the wife walk in and then you see her reach up to the camera and turn the camera the opposite way. And then that's when
the guy comes home.
The guy was asleep in the bedroom. So what had happened was apparently, because this guy had an injury to the face too. So remember how I said there was blood on the other side of the bed? She had a gun or access to his gun. Apparently he had been beating her up pretty bad, but she knew where his gun was at. And she was fed up with it. So she grabbed his gun while he was sleeping. She basically pistol whipped him in the head. And so he stands up out of the bed and he's like, what the heck's going on? And he's bleeding and he's wiping it on the side of the bed there. So he starts coming around to the other side of the bed. And then she's trying to get away from him, but he starts going into the bathroom. And that's when she shoots him. So she is panicking now, right? Which I think she was planning on leaving. I think they already had their bags packed and everything, but I think she thought I'll just hit him in the head or something. But I think she was crap, I just pissed him off. I should have just left, but it was too late.
Rage.
Yes. So she couldn't have just left. So then
I'm surprised she didn't burn the place down.
I
mean, she could have lit a candle or something next to the bed if he was sleeping or somewhere else. And
I know, right? You think fire burns everything, all evidence, but she's like, what should I do kind of thing. She tells her son.
Oh, you hear it all?
Well, yeah, we get to this point. They're like, what should we do they decided to start this fire, try to do a cover up kind of situation. I walk that whole field. I don't see anything out there. There's nothing out there that looked like they were trying to burn any evidence. But they're like, asking her finally, they're like, okay, well, tell us, where's the gun? And she says, I had my son throw it out in the pond. So
knew that was there.
Yep, had to get the gun out of the pond. So
what happened to the cat?
I don't know. Maybe the kids have it.
Oh, well, and the poor kids now, the moms could be in jail, probably is most likely in jail.
Yeah.
The husband's dead. Yeah, but if he was, I mean, she should have left.
Well, there is now a defense, like, I think it's battered woman defense. Basically, like, you go insane because you're, like, so sick of being, like, beaten all the time. But, like, it's not much of a defense if it's, like, not happening currently at that time. Like, if he's, like, sleeping and you go in and you're attacking him in his sleep.
Well, I'm sure he did something.
So
I'm a wife. I get it. He probably said something or did something before maybe he was drinking. Did you guys see any beer cans or anything around the house?
I didn't actually look in the kitchen because there wasn't, like, anything in there to... Like, it didn't, like, tie into, like, the scene. So, and I was working with the state agency, but they basically said there's nothing in there that's, like, pertinent to, like, what we're looking at. But, like, honestly, the thing that was, like, the nail in the coffin was her camera that, like,
and the cat told on her.
Yeah, seriously. The cat, like, kept walking in and out of the room. And then when it was, like, right there on the shelf, I was like, huh. There's a camera. And I'm like, it's literally pointing right to, because she had turned it back around.
Oh.
So she knew exactly what she was doing. Yeah, she like did herself in on that.
Yeah, she probably could have just got rid of the camera and you guys wouldn't have even known.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she could have, but she didn't.
I kind of feel sorry for her a little bit. I mean, if it's true, if he was beating on her, because I'm sure the kids like would have defended her too.
Yeah.
I mean, they did in a way. They didn't call 911 when she did it.
No, they were going to go with her. So she shouldn't have smacked him in his sleep. She should have just gone.
Yeah. I mean, okay, but I have to tell you, my husband never listens to this podcast, so it's okay. I'll get away with this. But like, sometimes you get so mad at them that like, my office door has a glass window inside of it. And sometimes I'll just see him walk by and he'll say something and it just makes me so mad that I'm like raging in my office and like I'm just making faces. So if anybody were to see me, I would look like this crazy person making faces and hand gestures or whatever, right? Because he's like just irritating. So this woman, I see it. Sometimes even in the middle of the night when I hear him like snoring, I just look at him and I'm like,
it'd just be so easy.
It would just like, I just look at him and I'm just like, ugh, you know, like.
Say the cat just smothered him in his sleep.
I mean, he's going to get smothered. His cat probably would. I think they both have sleep apnea. But no, I mean, I understand. So she probably just like wanted one good lick right before. She probably thought she was going to knock him out.
I think so. Yeah. He was a big guy though, too. He is built like a football player, just like big dude. So
that's probably why he thought he could hit her.
Yeah, came to his demise ultimately. So we'll have to look her up though and see what ended up happening to her. So yeah.
Oh, the cat told on her. Word of advice to all you people who own cats. They're smarter than we think or we give them credit for sometimes.
Yeah, I think so actually.
Well, that was a good story. We go from ABCs to
CATs. Gotcha.
Thanks for listening as always. And if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at kelly@diaryofadeathinvestigator.com or message us on our Instagram page, Diary of a Death Investigator. We like feedback. You can always leave a review on one of the platforms that you listen to. We have some new listeners around the world. So
yeah. Actually, I thought of you people in New Mexico. I was driving through there the other day and I was like, wonder if they're listening to us right now. So
but I was thinking more about the people who are we picked up some listeners in Russia. We've picked up some listeners in Europe. So anyway, we appreciate you listening. And until next time,
bye.